Thank you, participants, for the opportunity for me to talk about allergy journal department. The title is a clinical education support system for diagnosis of allergic rhinitis based on internal skin test with supervisor Dr. Yanuar Iman Santosa, otolaryngologist, Manchester Biomedical. Allergic rhinitis is an interaction between the environment and an individual's immune system, which allergen exposure by an immunoglobulin A of the membranes of nose and will result the discharge of histamine and other pro-inflammatory mediators. It will cause nasal congestion, rhinorrhea, sneezing, itching, and of nose and postnasal drip. It might affect quality of life, day-to-day activities. Allergic rhinitis from the study of Kumar et al. 33.3% in middle class people and 28.6% in upper class people and 27.1% in lower class people. It is observed by from 75% children, 80% adults, and who has asthma in India. And there are 63.7% individuals affected with allergic rhinitis with sinusitis. And the diagnosis use history finding and food habits, and then they do the physical examination and examination of specific IgE test or skin prick test or intradermal test. Specific IgE test, but it has so many variation results and methods, and skin prick test have very interpretation, and intradermal test is more sensitive than the skin prick test. Allergic rhinitis is a common disease, especially in city, but the diagnosis needs skin test. Skin test should be diagnosis by the expert. This work proposes a computerized approach to assist clinician in diagnosis and decision-making process. About the problem of otolaryngology, in Indonesia, we have a population of 270 million. It's not equal with the otolaryngologists. Otolaryngologists only 1,500. So the allergic specialist is less than it. And for one otolaryngologist is equal with 180,000 people. It means that a month, 15,000 people, one otolaryngologist will check 15 people, 15,000 people in a day. It means the one otolaryngologist will check 500 patients. In 1 hour, we'll check 63 patients, and it means 1 minute, one patient. Ideally, one patient should be checked in 8 until 10 minutes. In 1 hour, it's just 5 patients. It means that still 58 patients not checked. If we use 6 minutes, it means 10 patients will be checked, but still 53 patients not checked. That's why clinical education support system to help the junior clinician, it means that like a general doctor, to diagnose the allergic rhinitis. The related work, first is Singh et al. It's about the effect of air allergen like pollen, fungi, animal dangers, and dust. It will trigger to respiratory allergy in different parts of India. The dominant in certain parts of India is Casuarina, Spartanium, Spartodia, Eucalyptus, Peltophorum, and Citeraceae. And the allergen avoidance is an important measure in treating allergy. The work does not provide any insight about diagnosis or treatment of aeroallergen caused disease. And the second study is Amnesty et al. In 1997 to develop a quantitative score for allergic rhinitis. So we can call it SR. It's ranging between 0 until 16. The score is based on a criteria like nasal symptoms, water eyes, and itching. The system in which the symptoms occur, triggers of nasal symptoms such as inhalants, perceived allergic status, previous medical diagnosis of allergy, allergy test report to be positive, and family history. There are 269 outpatients in 30 days for hospital in France and validated by the doctors. The score is based on SPT and IgE levels. The score sensitivity about 74% and the specificity is 83%. This is the SFAR. The score criteria is like a nasal blow, running nose, sneezing, pharyngeal cough, seasonal nasal symptoms with itchy watery eyes, house dust trigger nasal symptoms, pollen trigger nasal symptoms, perceived allergic status, previous medical diagnosis of allergy, and the positive test of allergy, and the family history of allergy. The scoring is different, which is 1 or 2 score. And the cumulative score, there are total score is, if they are positive, the total score is 16. And if there are more than 7 score, it will be allergic rhinitis positive. There are good work number 12 is J et al. Who developed an asthma diagnosis system, compare the diagnosis efficiency of three supervised machine learning techniques, namely neural networks, case-based reasoning, and discriminant analysis. There are 294 patients at bronchial asthma clinic at Yonsei University Children's Hospital. The system has its neural network is 76% and CBR 62% and discriminant analysis respectively 78%. Clinical decision support system use a typical rule-based knowledge finding approach to analyze the result from the SPP and diagnose the presence or absence of the allergic rhinitis. This section presents the working of the system with a detailed description of the framework and the mathematical model. It's already used for dental education, ventilator treatment, cancer diagnosis, cancer treatment, diagnosis of heart disease and heart failure, diagnosis of neuromuscular disorder, respiratory pattern analysis, and many more. Clinical education support system is it will help the clinician or the general doctor to diagnose the disease. It will really help to make a therapy for the patient. This is the CDSS framework, which result of the intradermal skin test include with raw data and separate in-train data and test data. In-train data, there are two third data. Actually, the CDSS has two main of the system, which is first is preprocessing subsystem and classification subsystem. Preprocessing subsystem after train data, the data sampling and come into consist of allergen and allergic symptoms, and the data will be processed and into the classification system in the rule generation and consolidation and rule database, and the result will evaluation by the expert. And the material and method, the clinical history, they will ask about the name, age, gender, allergy symptoms, and the list of the allergen, and patient must not consume antihistamine and anti-allergy. They will to the intradermal skin test with negative control is saline and positive control is histamine. 0.01 milliliter of allergen will be injected into the epidermis. Positive is there are real and flare reaction, and negative is mean that not sensitive to the allergen. This is the table to show that the medication to be avoided before allergy test, which is the first generation of antihistamine. It must be not consumed 2 until 3 days, and non-sedating antihistamine not consumed by 7 days, and cyclic antidepressant and benzodiazepine 7 until 14 days, and topical corticosteroid 2 until 3 weeks. This is the table 1, the list of allergen, allergic symptoms. This is inhalant, contactant, and injectant. This is the allergen and the allergy symptom and physical attributes. The whole generation, this is the computer database. If we input, there is no running nose, there is no wheezing, it means that rhinitis is negative. There is no running nose. I'm sorry, can my cursor can be displayed in the monitor?
Yes.
Thank you. There is no running nose, and there is no cough. It's negative rhinitis. False outlook is rhinitis will be positive. The express validation, the best rule expressed by the system are validated, and the rules and the results after processing the data, the expert combine the suggestions. And the intradermal skin test, or IDST, data were collected from 872 patients who visit the Good Samaritan Ciapao Club and Allergy Testing Center in Tamil Nadu in India from October to December 2012 and March until April 2013. The patients were referred by ENT surgeon and general physician because of the nasal problem or other possible allergic symptoms. There are 413 males and 459 females. All of the age and the experimental results used for performance evaluation measures. There are sensitivity, specificity, precision, and accuracy. This is the result of performance evaluation of the junior clinician. There are 3 clinicians. The accuracy of the first clinician is 44.4%, and the second clinician is 76.7%, and the third clinician is 53.4%, and the average for the clinician is 58.2%. This is with junior clinician or general doctor without the expert. At the evaluation of the raw IDST test data, the clinician diagnosis 58.2%, and the expert best diagnosis is 84.2%, and the CDSS without expert validation is 85.5%. It's near with the CDSS after the expert validation is 88.3%. This is the result of CDSS without expert validation better than the clinician diagnosis or SPAR. And the conclusion, the prevalence of allergic rhinitis has significantly increased in the recent years. The gold standard test used to diagnosis of allergy disease needs an expert to validate the final outcome. Clinical decision making among junior clinicians, which allergic disease can be diagnosed in more precise manner. Early diagnosis and treatment will minimize the manifestation of symptoms, and the quality of life the patient will increase. The clinical decision support system can be made even more adaptive by dynamic validation of the rule-based and the rule inference method. The efficiency of the system can be further improved by introducing meta-heuristic data processing technique and by using ensemble verification approach. And the critical pressure is all the outcome reported? Yes. Is the question is the risk of the research similar to your location? Yes. Is a statistically significant and clinical considered or report? Yes. Could the research be done in your first output or not? Yes. All of the research subjects considered in the conclusion? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rika, for your presentation. Now it's time for resident reviewer first. Maybe Dr. Dini, Tiar, or Yudis already prepare your reviewer. Who's the first? Dr. Dini, maybe?
Yes,
Who's your...
Doctor.
Okay. You are a content reviewer, ya?
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Desi, for the opportunity that has given me. Good morning, Dr. Yanuar, Dr. Kanti, Dr. Desi, and all the residents. Hope we are in a good health. First, I would like to comment about the presentation, about Dr. Rika's presentation. It's really good presentation about this journal, and as we all know that allergic rhinitis is a common disease and it's very important to diagnose and know how to treat the disease. Dr. Rika, it is said in this journal that intradermal testing is more sensitive than prick test. Maybe can you explain again about the differences and tell the advantage of this testing so we can discuss, because we commonly use the prick test rather than intradermal test.
Yeah. Okay. Rika, you may answer about beneficial and what is the difference between intradermal testing and skin prick test?
Yes, Doctor. This is the intradermal and the between skin prick test. Skin prick test is actually in subcutan. You can see subcutan is deeper than intradermal. Uh, the difference is intradermal is more sensitive than subcutan because there are so many uh, receptor in intradermal, and it the advantage is the intradermal will use less extract allergen to the examination. But uh, I already searched about it uh, in the journal said that actually intradermal skin test is the sensitivity and significant it's not the sensitivity is not significant because the effect after the effect like allergic the effect of the allergic is more than the skin prick test. So many centers use the skin prick test better than the intradermal test.
Okay. But maybe positive result is very variable from other physician to another, eh?
Yeah, yes.
But they prefer do skin prick test than intradermal testing. What about in this research? They collect
In this
data from intradermal or skin prick test or both of them?
in this study, they use the intradermal skin test. But I searched another journal. The intradermal skin test is it's not they not use it.
Hmm. I think it's about the interpretation where when we evaluating the indulation of the skin. Yeah. Maybe we'll wait Dr. Yanuar will
Okay.
explain in the last stage. Thank you.
Well, I will explain right now, so it will be easier for the resident. So first, the first explanation is Dr. Rika said the intradermal is more sensitive because there are more receptor, yeah, Dr. Rika. But where do you read about it? Because that is not correct. The correct answer is it is more sensitive because it is using more a lot of different doses. Okay, so skin prick test will only test using single doses. For example, mite allergen. We will only use one vial of mite allergen. But in intradermal test for mite allergen, we will use different doses from the lightest until the strongest doses. Okay, so it is more sensitive not because of more receptor in intradermal. No, that is wrong. It is more sensitive because we are using several injection using several doses starting from the lowest doses until the highest doses. Okay, so we can, that is for the single allergen. However, during the injection, it is not using less volume of allergen. That is wrong. We will use more volume of allergen, but those are different doses. Okay. However, the answer is correct on more side effect because we are using more injection, more volume. It will cause more higher potential effect in anaphylactic shock. Okay. However, the skin prick test is more preferred because it is more convenient because we can check 10 allergens using 10 injection. If we want to use the intradermal single allergen, we can do 3, 5, or maybe 7 injection depending on the course of administration, usually 3. And then if we use 10 allergen, then we will times 3, 30 injections. Okay, so the main difference is not which one is better. The difference between intradermal and skin prick test is not which one is better. The difference is which one give a screening information, that is the skin prick test, and which one will give the precise doses information. That is the intradermal test. Okay, so the usual practice is as follows. First, we have patient suspect of allergy, but we do not know which allergen is positive. So which one will we use, intradermal or skin prick test, Dr. Rika?
Skin prick test.
Skin prick test. That means we are using the qualitative method of the allergy testing, which will give us the information of yes and no. So yes, allergic on mite, no allergic in cat fur, for example. Then we proceed with next step, that is treatment. Okay, patient having rhinitis, allergic rhinitis because of the mite, and the patient is not responsive to medical therapy, or the patient prefer to perform immunotherapy. Then we will continue. Now we will do the intradermal test on mite allergen only to know on which doses, low, medium, high, for example, does the patient have reaction to. Actually, it has 7 bottles, so which will have reaction to bottle 1, bottle 2, bottle 3, or etc. until 7. And then we will start the immunotherapy from the bottle that has reaction. For example, bottle 1 is low concentration, bottle 7 is very high concentration. We will start from low, from high to low, and usually from the high is positive and the low one until the low that is not positive, and then we will use that for a starting point. Ya, jadi kita menggunakan dosis bertingkat untuk tesnya, lalu kita cari dia mulai ada reaksinya di dosis yang mana, lalu kita gunakan itu. What is the benefit?
It can be used for the immunotherapy maybe.
Yes. What is the benefit of knowing the doses? The benefit is to make a faster result in immunotherapy. Because in immunotherapy, if we start immunotherapy only by skin prick test, we will only have a qualitative information. Yes, might. But starting on which doses of the mite allergen injection of the immunotherapy will the patient get a result? Is it from the first injection, the first week, second week, fourth week, or maybe in the 12th week? We do not know, because we will do it manually, starting from the lowest dose, gradually getting up. The positive side is it will be safe, but the negative side, it will take a long time. 12 weeks means 3 months. That means 3 months getting weekly injection, but the symptoms still persist. But it is safer. But in America, patients do not want to wait 3 months until their symptoms is relieved. They want to get their injection now, and they want the symptoms to be relieved tomorrow. Okay, so we will try to find which doses is the closest one. For example, we find the dose is on, let's say in bottle 1 of 5 cc, for half 0.5 cc, and then we will start injection from there. So we will skip 4 weeks of injection. Okay, because patient will think, I came every week to have injection and I pay for nothing because the symptom is still here. Okay. However, if we miscalculate the dose and we give directly high dose, the consequences is anaphylactic reaction. So the doctor side will think, yes, you will get faster improvement of your symptoms if everything happen as planned. But if not, you will directly going into anaphylactic states. Okay, so those are the consequences and the differences. Okay, Dr. Desi, maybe you have questions. Sorry, your question, Dr. Desi, previously.
Okay, next question. Next reviewer, Edu.
No, you have question previously, but I cut your speaking. Sorry.
Nothing.
No, so the benefit is we will get the result faster on the patient side. Okay. So Dini, is that all have answered your questions?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Thank you. So we all know about the intradermal testing and skin prick test.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, doctor.
But we do not do it routinely because of resident only have one cyclus for 2 months. So if we use intradermal testing, there will be higher margin of error to the
Yes,
patient
dokter.
during injection. Yeah, so we choose the safer method. However, in private practice, with the same doctors, same nurses, good medical record, maybe computerized, so everybody can read the previous record, then no problem. So we can do a good one. But if the record is still manually, handwriting is bad, then we can lose maybe 0.3. Somebody write like 9, that's 0.9. Then we will inject 0.9. It's very dangerous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Next
I think
question. Or
it's really about intradermal testing and it's really clear yeah, for all of the residents, even though we don't do that or we never see the testing in our hospital. So next reviewer about Dr. Tiar.
Yes,
Dr. Tiar about method and critical appraisal.
yes, thank you for the opportunity. First thing first, I want to give comment about the journal. The method of this journal, I think it's quite good because they use the method and the validation method because they want to be careful about the result. They take the cross-validation. It means that they validate the data inside their application first before they took it outside and give it to the expert and make expert validation. So I think they make the two validation. The first one is the cross validation and expert validation, and we can say that the method is good. And what I want to ask is about the critical appraisal of the journal. You said that it has the similarity location between the research and our place. What is your opinion about that? How can you say that the place is similar between there and ours? Thank you, Dr. Rika.
They use cross-validation from expert to data processor. Yeah. What is the methodology of this journal? Maybe Dr. Rika can answer.
Sorry, doctor.
What is the methodology of this journal? Dr. Tiar only review about how to collect validation data from the validation questionnaire or how to collect the validation data. But what is the methodology of this research? I think that's what we have to know about this journal.
I think I didn't know yet. Can I make it homework?
You can find in method and materials and methods. Or Dr. Tiar, maybe you've known what is the method of this research.
Yes, what I get from this journal, because they took the sample from the patient who were visited the clinic and allergy testing center in 2012 and 2013. So I think that the method of this journal, this study is analytic observational with is I think the method is analytic observational with cross-sectional design, with case control design.
And prospective ya, or retrospective.
Retrospective.
Retrospective. Okay, retrospective and observational, cross-sectional.
Case control. Retrospective.
Okay, Dr. Riana, do you have any comment? Because
Yeah, okay. So actually this journal is a little bit different than the other journal we have read before, yeah. So the question was the methodology of this research, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so actually this is like a, okay, I asked Dr. Rika first. Dr. Rika, there are 4 kind of research, okay. Number 1, research that will look on etiology of the disease, the cause of the disease, okay. Number 2, there are journals that look on the method to perform diagnosis of the disease, okay. And now third, there is a journal to evaluate the treatment of a disease. Number 4, there's journal that will evaluate the prognosis of the disease, okay. So can you repeat one more time? There are 4 kind of journal. What are they, Dr. Ika?
Yes, doctor. The first is the journal who study about the etiology, and the second is
Okay.
To perform the diagnosis,
Okay.
and the third is evaluate the treatment of the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And the fourth is evaluate the prognosis
Okay.
of the diagnosis.
Okay. According to Dr. Rika, this journal evaluate about which one? Etiology, diagnostic, treatment, or prognostic?
The diagnostic, to perform the better diagnosis.
Yeah, so this is a journal that try to research on diagnostic aspect. Research on diagnostic aspect is little bit different, and we often see journal on, so we do observational. Why does this cancer patient have this? Because they have risk factor of this one, this one, this one. So that will talk about etiology. And then the other research or journal will talk about prognostic factors. A cancer patient with smoking or with age or with diabetic mellitus or ulcer will have bad outcome. So there are prognostic research, and there are the most frequent journal is on treatment. So rhinosinusitis patient with treatment A versus treatment B, which one is better? Okay, and this one is different because it talks about the diagnostic method. Any research on diagnostic method, new diagnostic method, will have to be confirmed or confronted or validate against the gold standard diagnostic method that are existing. Okay, so this journal is trying to create a new system to diagnose allergic rhinitis using a software, and then they compare the software with the gold standard. The gold standard is the
Intradermal
Intradermal test, yeah, correct. So we want to see if an allergic patient perform intradermal test, then we will know that this patient is allergic or not. Okay, because that is the gold standard. But this journal assessed that there are problems to that because the allergic patient is a lot of patient, but the one who can perform allergic testing is very limited. In Indonesia, even worse, the reagent that is needed to perform is even not existed. So that will means that more patients will not be able to be diagnostic as allergic rhinitis. So they propose a new system using a computer-aided decision support system that if we enter patient's data, name, age, and then race of this one, and this one, as Dr. Rika has presented in the slides, then the system will automatically say that, yes, it is allergic. No, it is not allergic. And the result of yes allergic and not allergic is confronted or validated or compared to the gold standard. Okay, so I'm not really sure what to say about the method, but that is how it works. Okay, and then we will see that the benefit of the research, it has been shown that in the slide, you can, Dr. Rika, can you please put on the slide on the variables that is variables that is input entry in the system. No, before that, there are many variables before that, just before, again, before. There are many variables before, yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this is a scoring to diagnose an allergic patient that is already existing, okay? And any doctor who have read about this can make a diagnosis on allergic rhinitis using this criteria, ya. Jadi semua dokter yang sudah baca tentang ini harusnya dia bisa gunakan sistem scoring ini untuk diagnosis rhinitis alergi, oke? Tapi ternyata it turns out that general practitioner, GP or dokter umum, they do not know this criteria well, or they cannot use the criteria well, so that the diagnostic on allergic rhinitis is wrong, oftenly wrong. So it will oftenly underdiagnose. Okay, I will show the table later, but we go next slide. Next slide. So they propose before stop. Yeah. Back one slide. So they propose a clinical decision support system. Okay, now this is something new. This is something that we do not often use, but actually this is just a questionnaire, ya. So this is basically a questionnaire. Ini sebetulnya seperti kuesioner aja untuk mendiagnosis rhinitis alergi, kuesioner untuk mendiagnosis sinusitis gitu ya. Kalau ada polip, ada ini, atau ada gangguan penciuman dan lain, itu sistem scoringnya. Ini sama. Akan tetapi dibuat, apa bedanya sama kuesioner? Dibuat jadi sistem. Dibuat jadi sistem maksudnya apa? Dibuat jadi software. Dibuat jadi sistem di komputer gitu ya. Jadi bukan kertas yang diisi manual, tapi tabel di software yang diisi secara digital. Oke, lanjut. Satu slide. Dan diharapkan bahwa clinical decision support system will be able to help doctors to make better diagnosis. Okay, so usually we do history taking, anamnesis, and then we perform physical examination, and then we perform imaging, laboratory testing, and others. Okay, but is it possible we do not use the imaging or laboratory, but we use a scoring system that is created digitally to make the diagnosis better, that is the question. Okay, so now they create a system. Next. And this is the architecture of the system. Ini skema sistemnya. Sebagai dokter THT mungkin kita nggak terlalu penting, tapi cukup tahu saja bahwa di dunia ini sedang berkembang sistem diagnosis yang seperti ini, yang dikembangkan oleh orang IT, Big Data Analysis, dan di luar negeri sudah berkembang, di Indonesia belum banyak yang mengetahui, tapi ada baiknya kita belajar. Jadi, if I can get the remote control of the slide, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, now you can see my cursor moving.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, okay. So now, itu di close dulu aja security-nya. Yeah. Saya pakai bahasa Indonesia saja, karena ini agak sulit dipahami. Bayangkan ini bukan sistem komputer, oke? Okay? Bayangkan ini bukan sistem komputer. Bayangkan ini adalah PPDS, oke? Okay? Nah, maka PPDS masuk di sini semester awal, lalu PPDS-nya dilatih, ya. PPDS dilatih diapakan? Dikasih tahu, oh pasien alergi itu seperti ini gejalanya, pasien alergi itu seperti ini gambarnya, gitu ya. Lalu dia dilatih selama sekian waktu. Setelah itu diberikan informasi bahwa ada aturan-aturan tertentu, kalau pasien datang harus begini, 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 lalu begitu, lalu dilihat hasilnya. Kemudian setelah dilatih, dievaluasi. Oh, sudah betul. Jadi setelah kamu stase alergi, selama 2 bulan diberikan latihan, setelah 2 bulan diberikan kasus, lalu kasus ini kamu tahu nggak diagnosisnya? Oh betul, ya berarti kamu sudah tervalidasi bahwa sistem ini sudah baik, bahwa si dokter ini, si residen ini sudah bisa mendiagnosis kasus rintis alergi. Apakah selesai sampai di situ? Tidak, kamu lalu dilepaskan keluar ke klinik. Lalu di klinik kamu periksa pasien baru, ya. Pasiennya bisa jadi tidak sama dengan yang kemarin diajarkan. Pasiennya pasien baru. Tapi kamu diminta melakukan hal yang sama, lalu mengeluarkan diagnosis. Nah, lalu akan dites nih, apakah diagnosis kamu betul atau tidak. Itu alur kalau PPDS, ya, dididik untuk itu. Tapi bayangkan kalau ini bukan PPDS, bukan manusia. Bayangkan kalau ini adalah suatu komputer, suatu software. Di cloud, lalu bonus itu kita input data. Kita kasih data tentang bahwa pasien alergi adalah kriterianya A, B, C, D, E, dengan ini kriterianya, dan lain-lainnya. Lalu ada aturannya, kalau ada satu kriteria, diagnosisnya rintis alergi misalnya. Oke. Ya, divalidasi oleh dokternya, betul hasilnya, maka ketika software itu dibuka lagi, lalu dokter yang bukan spesialis THT, bukan alergi itu menggunakan software itu, lalu dia menteri semua data yang dibutuhkan, maka sistem itu akan memunculkan diagnostik. Ya, rintitis alergi, tidak, bukan rintitis alergi, sebagaimana, seakurat mana, setara dengan akurasi dari seorang spesialis THT ataupun spesialis alergi tadi. Ya. Jadi bayangkan sistemnya seperti itu. Jadi kita bisa membuat suatu sistem komputer yang sama pinternya sama seperti seorang spesialis alergi, tapi nanti yang pakai bukan spesialis alergi, tapi dokter umum. Maka kita bisa saving waktu. Saving waktu, tidak perlu melatih dokter umum ini selama 4 tahun, tapi dia tiba-tiba bisa mendiagnosis rinitis alergi dengan benar. Itu gambarannya, ya. Jadi sampai di situ dulu akan jadi pertanyaan, kalau gitu ngapain sekolah alergi kan? Kalau gitu ngapain sekolah THT? Ngapain PPDS? Gitu. Nah itu masalah yang berbeda, nanti kita diskusikan yang pada kemudian waktu. Tapi ada sistem yang seperti ini, ya. Maka kalau next slide, ini yang akan dimasukkan sebagai data, ya. Next slide. Next slide lagi. Lalu semua data ini akan di-entry di komputer, ya. Lalu nanti dia diminta untuk mencek, mengisi, klik, 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 ya, tidak, dan seterusnya. Klik lagi, lanjut berikutnya. Slide berikutnya. Nah, stop. Lalu, ada rule. Tadi ada rule ya. Nah, tadi kan di bagian bawah, kiri bawah tadi ada rule. Rule-nya adalah, kalau dia hidungnya, ada 25 rule yang dipakai. Rule pertama, kalau dia hidungnya meler, tapi tidak ada mengi, asma, tidak meler, tidak asma, maka bukan rinitis alergi. Tidak meler, tidak batuk, bukan rinitis alergi. Ada reaksi terhadap debu tapi tidak bersin, tidak ada rinitis alergi, dan seterusnya, ya, sampai jadi ini menyingkirkan differential diagnosis tanpa melakukan skin prick test, tanpa melakukan intradermal test. Artinya ketika pasien datang ke dokter umum, dia nggak ditusuk-tusuk, cuma ditanyain aja, ya enggak, ya enggak, ya enggak, ya enggak, 25 kali ditanyainnya. Setelah ditanyain itu, keluar hasilnya. Next slide. Dia alergi atau tidak, slide. Terus, next slide. Next slide. Ini apa ya? Oke, ini next slide dulu aja. Next slide dulu. Oke, mundur dulu. Ya, mundur satu. Nah, mundur lagi. Ya, ini ada dokter umum tanpa ahli, jadi dokter umum, bukan spesialis THT, bukan alergi. Disuruh periksa, dokter 1, dokter 2, dokter 3. Disuruh meriksa pasien, lalu disuruh diagnosis alergi, iya atau tidak. Hasilnya gimana? Ternyata tingkat kebetulnya, diagnosisnya betulnya, itu rata-rata di angka 50%. Artinya satu benar, satu salah. Gitu. Ya, saya ulangi, jadi pasien dokter junior, dokter umum junior, bukan THT, bukan alergi, belum PPDS, belum stase alergi, disuruh diagnosis, ini pasien alergi atau bukan sih? Nah, kemungkinan benarnya kurang lebih 50% lah. Sederhananya begitu. Lanjut berikutnya. Tapi, ini tadi ada angkanya ya. Tapi, kalau dokter umum itu disuruh ngisi kuesioner manual, ya, maka diagnosisnya naik jadi 80%. Betul. Kemudian, kalau kuesioner ini udah standar ya, kuesioner udah ada standarnya. Lalu gimana kalau nggak ngisi kuesioner, tapi ngisi software aja deh. Nah, ngisi software tanpa dokter spesialis. Dia hanya ngisi di komputer aja. Naik tuh jadi 80% juga, 85. Ya. Tadi 81, 82, 87, ini 85, 85, 85. Di rata-rata 85,5, di rata-rata 84,2. Kalau dokter umum, nggak pegang kertas, nggak pegang kuesioner, nggak pegang komputer, 58% kemungkinan betulnya. Tapi kalau spesialis, atau pakai sistem dan oleh spesialis, kemungkinan benarnya di 88%. Artinya apa? Sistem yang dibikin baru pakai komputer ini bisa membantu seorang klinisi yang bukan expert, bukan spesialis, meningkatkan akurasi diagnosisnya dalam rinitis alergi dari 58% menjadi 85%. Jauh lebih baik daripada sebelumnya, tapi masih tetap di bawah yang ahli THT atau ahli alergi tadi. Ya. Nah, jadi ini kuncinya ya. Artinya apa? Artinya kalau kita punya satu software untuk alergi, berarti diagnosisnya untuk alergi betul nih. Tapi kelemahannya apa? Nah, berarti klinisi tadi harus membutuhkan waktu lebih lama untuk menanyakan 25 pertanyaan tadi. Ya. Otomatis waktu periksa lebih panjang, lebih lama. Oke, jadi jurnal ini membahas tentang diagnosis yang baru, tidak pakai skin prick test, nggak pakai reagen, nggak pakai apa, nggak pakai rapid test, tapi dia pakai komputer, masukin klik, yes, 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 no, 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 ternyata diagnosisnya bisa dapat 85%. Oke, mungkin itu dulu. Mungkin ada pertanyaan lagi atau diskusi lagi, silakan.
Yes. Mungkin Dok, di untuk kan membandingkan kuesioner S4 apa tadi skor for allergic rhinitis
Ya.
dengan SDSS yang mereka buat dengan with 15
konfirmasi dengan konfirmasi juga dengan intradermal test juga tadi kan gitunya.
Ya, tadi dengan 25 pertanyaan ya. 25 atau 15 pertanyaan tuh.
Nah, ada banyak pertanyaan pokoknya tadi.
How they collect the question from what tools? They collect running mouse, noising itu dari mana Dok?
Dari softwarenya kan keluar pertanyaan.
Ya, ini kan jadi kerjasama antara expert, maksudnya dokter dengan IT ya.
Betul.
Ya.
Yes.
Maksudnya
ini
si IT
ini namanya bioinformatics.
Ya. So
IT-nya?
IT collect the data from the expert, from the doctor, from the clinician,
from the questionnaire, existing questionnaire.
Existing questionnaire, and they collect 25 question for making yes no itu. Nah, about the
rule
question, about the rule kan dia bandingkan SVAR itu sama SDSS yang mereka bikin. Nah, 25 pertanyaan itu tuh dari mana?
Dia bikin sendiri algoritmanya.
Oh.
Nah, itu di situ pinternya orang IT-nya dan pinternya dokternya bekerja sama, dan algoritma dia 88% akurasinya.
Iya.
Misalnya kita bikin sendiri dengan 50 pertanyaan, algoritmanya dengan akurasi jadi 95%, berarti algoritma kita lebih bagus. Atau ada orang lain bikin dengan 10 pertanyaan, tapi akurasinya 65%, berarti algoritma dia lebih jelek. Nah, yang susah dan yang mahal itu cara membuat algoritma ini. Dan ini dipatenkan, dan ketika sistem ini digunakan, misalnya dimonetisasi menjadi uang, menjadi suatu sistem diagnostik mandiri, digunakan di HP misalnya, lalu dibeli oleh suatu perusahaan farmasi misalnya, maka dengan suatu brand, katakanlah brand pabrik A atau merek obat A gitu, dia menawarkan, ayo kita bisa diagnosis mandiri, apakah kamu menderita alergi, apakah karena kamu menderita alergi, silahkan isi aplikasi ini, gunakan aplikasi ini, yang ujung-ujungnya adalah branding ke perusahaan itu dan penjualan ke obat dari perusahaan itu. Nah, itulah dunia bisnis yang terjadi sekarang di dunia kedokteran. Dan kita tertinggal, tidak dilibatkan. Artinya nggak kebagian duitnya, karena orang lain yang bikin kan. Dan itulah yang sekarang terjadi. Nah, inilah mini sistem algoritma yang disebut sebagai, yang dimaksud sebagai kecerdasan buatan. Artificial intelligence yang model sederhana. Tapi masih membutuhkan suatu sistem entry. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Gitu. Setelah ngejawab yes, no 25 kali, rhinitis alergi ini. Padahal dia nggak ketemu saya, nggak datang ke praktek saya. Tapi dia bisa tahu bahwa dia rhinitis alergi. Dia ketemu siapa? Dia ketemu software, dia ketemu AI. Kalau AI-nya dikasih nama, CDS-nya dikasih nama, Aida misalnya, atau Aisyah, atau siapa, maka dia merasa udah ketemu dokter Aisyah. Padahal itu artificial intelligence yang dibuat. Jadi ini suatu perkembangan teknologi yang bagus dan mengerikan sekaligus pada saat yang bersamaan. Ya. Oke, yuk diskusi lagi. Ada pertanyaan lagi, silakan.
Next reviewer, Dr. Yudis ya.
Ya, silakan.
Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity. I will give a correction for the writer correction. The first, the cover of this journal is a written name of the author. The correction, Dr. Ika must do not have to write the author in the cover. Number two, in this journal, it doesn't have a page number. You must insert the page number in the upper corner on the right, on your journal translate. And the number three, there is some paragraph in this journal is still not alignment from the others. And number four, from the table or picture, the position word, the name of the table picture is correct, but you have to bold the font in this table or picture. Oh, doctor, thank you.
Okay, you can send your comment, your revision to Dr. Rika. Ya?
Yes,
Okay, I will ask Dr. Kanti to review Dr. Rika, please.
Thank you, Dr. Eci. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, this is the good journal, Dr. Rika. First, reading this journal, I read about what kind of journal it is. And I read that this is the Computers in Biology and Medicine journal. So it is very familiar with our kabak, Dr. Yanuar yang sangat-sangat teknologi banget ya. Jadi memang saat melihat jurnal ini saya langsung ngebayang nih Dr. Yanuar banget gitu ya. Dan sangat kalau dibaca agak complicated, tapi kalau misalnya melihat ke belakang langsung kemudian melihat dari abstrak dan lain-lainnya, kemudian baru terpikir bahwa oh ini adalah sebuah sistem komputer di mana dengan scoring tertentu diagnosisnya tadi bisa akurasinya bisa hampir mendekati yang kalau misalnya itu dengan expert, sehingga maaf ya saya pakai bahasa Indonesia aja, sehingga di era pandemi ini kalau menurut saya ini sangat-sangat membantu sekali harusnya ya. Cuma untuk yang harus diingat ya, kita harus ingat lagi bahwa bagaimanapun computerized ini bisa membantu kita, itu tidak akan pernah bisa sama dengan ketemu langsung dengan seorang dokter, the real doctor ya. Contohnya bagaimana? Contohnya dalam hal ini seperti pasien rinitis alergi dengan apa tadi namanya CDSS ya, Clinical Decision Support System. Ini untuk kedua kalinya saya membaca atau mendengar Clinical Decision Support System. Sebelumnya saya dengar Clinical Decision Support System ini sudah diberlakukan di ICU, beberapa ICU di rumah sakit seperti di Bandung dan Jakarta. Yaitu sudah memakai Clinical Decision Support System. Saya mendengar dari Dr. Anang, spesialis anestesi. Kemudian yang kedua adalah ini. Makanya saat melihat, oh ini berarti arahnya ke sana. Apa kelemahannya? Tentu saja yang namanya computerized itu tidak bisa berpikir kalau ini hanya single disease seperti rinitis alergika, kita mungkin masih bisa menegakkan diagnosis itu hanya dengan satu CDSS. Namun bagaimana kalau misalnya pasien tersebut ada multidiagnosis atau ada penyakit-penyakit komorbid lainnya, ya, atau ada hubungan-hubungan dengan misalnya pengobatan-pengobatan lain dan lain-lain ya, itu yang mungkin tidak bisa dikembangkan oleh rekan-rekan ini ya IT, belum bisa maksudnya memodifikasi itu. Mungkin nanti ke depannya kita bisa memodifikasi itu lebih jauh. Jadi misalnya ya, pasien rinitis alergika, dalam jurnal ini pasien rinitis alergika, bila dia multidiagnosis bersama dengan pasien rhinosinusitis atau bersama pasien LPR dan lain-lain. Jadi ini adalah kekurangan dari sistem computerized. Hanya saja saat pandemi seperti ini sudah bisa dikatakan sudah sangat-sangat membantu kita. Jadi ini seharusnya bisa diterapkan seperti yang dikatakan Dr. Rika tadi di critical appraisal, harusnya ini bisa applied di kita, karena memang di anestesi pun sudah menerapkan clinical decision support system ini di sana ya, untuk intensif juga. Dr. Rika, mungkin saya mau bertanya satu hal saja. Apa bedanya 4 sistem evaluasi pada CDSS ini ya, yaitu sensitivitas, spesifisitas, precision, dan akurasi pada CDSS dengan keempat hal tersebut pada SVAR yang saat ini kita gunakan ya. Untuk saat ini di klinik alergi yang digunakan SVAR ya, Dr. Yanuar, atau kriteria ARIA saja cukup? Dr. Yanuar?
Sementara
Atau
masih pakai yang Arya, belum pakai yang FSAR, masih yang
oke,
Arya biasa.
masih Arya. Atau ya itu tadi ya, dengan bedanya dengan SFAR pada sistem 4 evaluasi tadi, atau bedanya dengan sistem yang kita gunakan saat ini yaitu sistem Arya. Ini bedanya apa? Sebaiknya bagaimana? Apakah kalau memang ini lebih reliable, lebih keempat evaluasi tadi jauh lebih baik ya sampai dengan 80% akurasinya, apakah memungkinkan kita memakai ini saja dibandingkan Arya atau SFAR? Bagaimana Dr. Rika?
Baik dokter, saya mencoba untuk menjawab. Untuk sensitivity, specificity, precision, and accuracy. This is the how to we calculate the number of the sensitivity, specificity, and others. This is the predicted class. This is a positive, it's true positive. It means that actual class is in rhinitis allergy, actual class is using skin prick test or intradermal skin test. And the predicted class is with, this is the example, this, like predicted class uses the criteria of the clinical doctor. This is the actual class will positive and the predicted class positive is true positive and the predicted class negative, but the actual class positive is false negative. If the actual class negative and the predicted class is positive, is a false positive, and the predicted class is negative and the actual class is negative is true negative. And the calculation of the
my question is what is the differences about the sensitivity, the specificity, and then precision, accuracy in this system with ARIA system or with SFAR system, so you can choose the best for our diagnostic tools. Can you describe about this 4 items of evaluation in ARIA system or in SFAR system?
From the equation is it includes all the variety of the items.
Maybe it's from
higher.
your opinion, yeah, Dok. And maybe from Dr. Rika opinion, because in this journal they don't mention about ARIA.
Yeah. What about your
at least there is a data on SFAR and CDSS. Dr. Kanti asked which one is better in terms of accuracy between SFAR and CDSS. First question, answer that one first.
The first question, the SFAR and CDSS is better, it's a higher accuracy than SFAR.
Yeah, so the accuracy is higher in CDSS. Okay. Second question is whether the system CDSS can be applied in here.
In our setting, our Semarang clinical setting, yeah. Which one? Yes, maybe. What is your opinion? CDSS or SFAR or ARIA only? ARIA is enough for our clinical setting.
I have been in the allergic department in 2 months, and ARIA is already can help to diagnose the rhinitis allergy. But I don't know for using SFAR. I think that it's because we already only know about the ARIA. But I think we can use the SFAR too because the like clinical diagnosis is maybe only the ARIA, and if we use SFAR, it maybe higher result better than ARIA.
To answer that, you have to, untuk menjawab itu kamu harus melakukan penelitian ulang. Nah, kita coba di sini, kita bandingkan. Jadi kalau ada PPDS yang penelitiannya alergi, kerjakan seperti ini dalam bahasa Indonesia, gunakan kuesioner ARIA, lalu dibandingkan dengan kuesioner SVAR. Lalu kita akan dapat angkanya, baru kita bisa jawab.
Yeah, that's the conclusion, I think. So, if you want to, do you have a research? Sudah punya judul penelitian, Bu Rika?
Sudah, dokter.
Oh, sudah. Berarti yang di alergi ya nanti ya, yang dapat materi alergi siapa deh? Ini kelihatannya bisa diteliti lagi ya, Dokter Yan.
Ya. Kemudian nanti harus diadaptasi lagi CDSS-nya itu kita bisa akses nggak sistemnya. Karena kita belum bisa akses nih portalnya, masuknya loginnya lewat mana. Apakah dikunci khusus untuk dokter di India atau kita bisa login lewat mana kita belum tahu.
Oke. I think it's
Jadi
enough.
mungkin sedikit saya diskusi dengan yang disampaikan Dr. Kanti tadi menarik sekali ya, bahwa di bagian lain juga sudah pakai CDSS. Sebetulnya apa sih fungsi CDSS? Fungsinya untuk mengurangi error, mengurangi kesalahan, sebetulnya itu. Kenapa? Karena manusia itu prone to error, makanya kita kasih sistem untuk mencegah errornya berkurang, menurun gitu. Tapi apakah sistem itu bisa menggantikan manusia? Itu the ultimate question, will human be replaced by robot in healthcare ya? Tadi malam tuh saya lihat beritanya di Eropa sudah ada beberapa robot yang digunakan untuk terapi pasien COVID.
Ya.
Tapi bukan untuk dokternya, tapi sebagai pengantar barangnya. Jadi seperti laborannya, ngantar status ke ruangan mana, ngantar obat kemana, untuk mengurangi jumlah manusia yang sirkulasi di ruangan itu. Gitu. Tapi apakah dia bisa menggantikan manusianya? Ya kalau menggantikan laboran bisa. Tapi apakah bisa menggantikan perawat atau menggantikan dokternya? Belum bisa saya yakin ya. Orang COVID lalu disuntik sama robot juga belum tentu dia mau ya, malah kabur takut gitu. Jadi jangan khawatir dalam healthcare, dalam layanan kedokteran, dokter will never be replaced by robot. Ya. Atau computers atau AI, apapun itu sebutannya. Tapi doctors who do not understand AI will be replaced by doctor who understand AI.
Yes.
Oke. Jadi kalau di ICU yang tadi Dokter Kanti ceritakan, maka dokter anestesi yang boleh kerja di ICU itu hanya yang tahu cara ngentri di CDSS-nya. Kalau ada dokter anestesi baru dan dia nggak bisa ngerjain softwarenya, dia nggak akan diterima kerja di situ. Ya. Atau dokter anestesi yang senior tapi belum tahu ketika software itu dikembangkan, lalu softwarenya ada, dia mau terapi manual aja, nggak usah pakai CDSS, nggak boleh sama direkturnya, harus belajar CDSS-nya. Jadi, we are not talking about doctor versus AI. Okay? We are not talking about, kita tidak membicarakan dokter lawan AI, kita tidak membahas tentang dokter digantikan AI, bukan. Tapi kita membahas tentang sistem AI apa yang akan datang, siapa yang merancangnya. Karena sistem AI itu akan datang, tapi sistem mana yang datang dan siapa yang membuatnya? Itu pertanyaannya. Maka kalau sistem itu datang dan dibuat oleh orang luar, maka data variabel yang di-entry sesuai dengan variabel yang ada di luar. Dan kita hanya sebatas user. Tapi kalau kita memahami, tentu saja kita kerjasama dengan orang IT, maka kita bisa membuat sistem yang itu, misalnya sistem scoring snoring, sistem scoring sinusitis gitu ya. Kita yang membuat variabelnya, tentu dengan penelitian, uji coba dan lain-lainnya, nanti variabelnya dilihat berapa validitasnya. Tapi buatan kita untuk kita pakai sendiri. Nah, gunanya buat apa? Gunanya sebetulnya untuk screening, untuk awareness, untuk multiplikasi, untuk leveraging, gitu ya. Maksudnya apa? Nah, sekarang pasien tahu nggak sih pilek alergi itu kayak gimana? Banyak yang nggak tahu ya. Taunya pilek aja. taunya sinusitis aja, tapi pilek alergi nggak tahu. Kalau ada software untuk diagnosis mandiri rinitis alergi, orang akan tahu, oh ternyata ada yang namanya pilek alergi, ternyata beda dengan yang lain. Itu awareness, menciptakan awareness di masyarakat. Lalu kalau masyarakat sudah aware semua, di Semarang ada 5 juta penduduknya, 5 juta datang semua ke saya juga nggak bisa kerja 5 juta pasien, ya. Nggak pulang, nggak tidur, ngerjain 5 juta pasien. Tapi pada saat yang bersamaan 5 juta pasien bisa login ke sistem yang saya buat, mereka kerjakan semua screeningnya, akan ketahuan dari 5 juta ternyata hanya 30% nih. Oh hanya 1,5 juta nih yang rinitis alergi. Dari 1,5 juta hanya 10% yang berat nih, berarti hanya 150.000 nih yang perlu datang ke dokter. Dan 150.000 itu butuh treatment. Nah itu 150.000 itu yang datang ke THT. Gitu. Maka kita buat sistem untuk membuat itu. Tapi selama itu kita belum punya sistemnya, dokter capek kerjanya. Jadi kita periksa, oh nggak apa-apa Bu, normal, nggak apa-apa Bu, normal gitu. Pasien pun kecewa, cuma gini doang bayar, mahal lagi kan, bisa ke dokter ya. Kalau pakai software kan bisa gratis misalnya. Nah, tapi memang kita membutuhkan kerjasama bidang lain dan butuh funding, butuh sponsor atau butuh modal. Nah kita nanti harus cari nih modalnya dari hibah penelitian atau dari sponsor dengan kerjasama dengan pihak mana atau mana, itu yang kita pikirkan. Dan itu bisa terjadi di semua divisi ya. Sistem scoring untuk rinologi, sistem scoring untuk laring-faring, sistem scoring untuk apapun semuanya ada ya. Untuk kalau sistem scoring sekian berarti adenoidnya udah besar atau tonsilnya udah besar harus TE ya. Baru dok saya mau TE nih. Loh kenapa TE? Saya kerjakan sistem scoring TE kemarin, skornya segini dok, sarannya harus TE. Nah, kan?
Itu sistem scoring seperti itu bisa dibuatkan IT-nya Undip, Pak ya?
Itu saya kurang tahu. Ya, kita harus ngulik lagi kalau itu masalah teknis pembuatan ya, itu membutuhkan tahapan berikutnya. Tapi at least sekarang kita aware nih, oh ada sistem, oh kita bisa buat. Nah, sekarang siapa yang bisa bantuin kita buat? Gitu. Kita buat bareng-bareng. Gitu. Oke. Ya, mungkin ada pembacaan berikutnya ini. Ada jadwal apa lagi habis ini? Kalau
mungkin
sudah, mungkin pertanyaan terakhir dari PPDS, kalau ada, kalau enggak, udah kita tutup aja.
Dari yang stase alergi mungkin, ada yang stase alergi.
Alergi cuma satu.
Cuma Bu Rika doang.
Yudis, Dok.
Oh Pak Yudis. Pak Yudis, ayo. Mau bertanya apa mau ditanya sama Dokter Yanuar?
Sudah.
Sudah.
Tadi udah komen ya. Ya, saya tutup untuk acara pembacaan jurnal reading department. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Oh iya. Thank you Dr. Rika as presenter and Dr. Yanuar as supervisor and Dr. Kanti for your reviewer. Thank you for all residents, and I will close this journal department.